So this is a fun project. Boat never had a holding tank sender or gauge. So the end of the tank is right here. There's a little square hatch that covers it. And this is a piece that the hatch lays on. It goes like that. So, got that out of the way. I need to drill a 2 1/4 hole right here. And I'll have to take a jigsaw and cut this out a little bit to be able to drill that hole, plus put the screws in for the sender. But the other option is I can take up this whole floor. There's a seam right there, over to here, over and up. And that way I don't have to cut into anything. The only problem is, of course, there's 2 screw heads that are rounded off just to make my life more fun and exciting. Oh. So I figured out how to do this. So it took me a while. I had to look in here. So this is 12-volt light switch for the lights in the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab 12 volts that are coming in. So when you turn the breaker off to the head, the lights, or turn the lighting off, it'll turn the gauge off, on and off. But so there'll be 12 volts that come into here. I'm going to grab this 12. I got a ground wire here. And let's see. So I'm going to drill a hole here, and I'm going to mount the gauge right there. So how do I get the wire from here over to there? Not so easy. There's stringers in the way and everything. So I look in here, and I can see the wires come down there. So that's a piece of cake. Some of them go forward, and some go aft. So the plan is, there's the wires that go aft, the yellow wire and the gray cased wire. So where it comes through the bulkhead, I'll run the wire through there. I'll bring it along here by the holding tank hoses, drop it down through the floor right there, and it will come out right in there. So I'm going to need 2 wires that come from the gauge. I'm going to need a ground wire, and I'm going to need the sender wire for the gauge. So now I figured out how to get the wire back to there. So I just have to see if I can take up that hatch once I drill out those 2 bad screws. So this is the sender base, which is a really cool invention. And you drill a 2 1/4 hole in the top of the tank, and you drop this in. Let's see if I can do it. See how there's a split ring there? That's because that goes in and hooks inside the tank. So this ring becomes inside the tank. Then there's a gasket and this ring on top. So it's a little trick to put it in there, but it's kind of a cool invention. Then I'm going to have a threaded hole. So the sender, you can unthread it, take it out to service it if it gets clogged up or anything, and then screw it back in. So it's not like I'm putting 5 screws in like you normally do for a standard sender. And so this is easier to service it. This is an 8-inch sender. The tank is 10 inches deep, but they make a 12-inch and they make an 8-inch, so I don't have much of a choice there. So this is the ground wire. Ground wire that's pink, of course. Of course, it can't be can't be yellow or anything like it's supposed to be. And then this is the sender wire, which is black. I don't know why they picked those colors. I guess they haven't done it in a long time. This is a little wiring harness that plugs into the back of the gauge. Let's see, orange and yellow is depending on what color you want the gauge to light up with. So you choose one of those 2 for the color. And then the blue one, what's the blue one again? Oh, the blue is ground. It's amazing that they can't make something that like is standard. So blue is ground, which I can grab right there behind the light switch. Red is positive that I grab by the light switch. And then I'm also going to choose one of the colors for the light in the gauge. And then the black, and I'll have to run another ground wire. The blue, black and blue. I'll have to run that. Just an update. So I thought I could just use a fish tape and pull a wire through there into the equipment room. Grab the wire from where I want to mount the gauge. But it just won't go through. There's a bulkhead there. It goes behind the shower, and then it comes out the bulkhead on the other side of the shower. So, plan B is this cable TV wire right here. I thought I'd use that to pull the new wire through, pull a chase wire with it, and it goes through this bulkhead and goes into port hanging locker. And so I took the floor out of the port hanging locker and got the wire exposed, but then the wire comes up here behind the TV through that little tiny hole under the outlet there. So then I had to take the floor out. I had to loosen this cedar panel here, and I fished the wire out. So now I have the wire there. So I'm going to use this wire to pull a new wire through and an extra line or something so I can pull this wire back. So yeah, nothing's easy. Anyway, one challenge at a time. Okay, so this is the borescope that I have inside the bulkhead, the equipment room. You can kind of see the light through there where it's inside there. That's behind the shower wall, and actually I'm not sure which way is up here, so let's do this. So I can see the cable TV wire coming through there, but my fish rod is hitting way more to the left, so I may have to use that cable wire to pull something through. Alright, well, back to the original plan. Here's the cable TV wire, and I've attached the wire that I'm going to pull through for the tank sender, and I'm pulling a string through too so I can pull this wire back, hopefully. It's not going to be easy to pull it back. Anyway, so the plan is to pull it through. So from that bulkhead, I'm going to pull the wire through, and then I'm going to pull it from the equipment room through there. So we'll see how that goes. Alright, so here's the cable TV wire. I pulled it through with my sender wire. I have a string, so I hope I can pull the cable wire back through, put it back where it belongs. But the good news is we got the wire through here. So I'm going to go behind the AC ductwork. I'm going to go behind there. I'm going to come along the holding tank hose here, drop it down through the floor and into the area where the holding tank is. That's the plan. And then I got to pull the cable TV wire back through with a string, hopefully. Alright, so never easy. So I've got the fish rod here. This is the 120 volt outlet. This is the light switch for the headlights, the 12 volt. So here's my wire. Hurts so much. I'm getting too old for this. So I got the wire that goes up through there, through the shelf. That was not easy in itself. And then there's another tight spot there. So I got to get it through that hole. Once I get it through that hole, I think we're in pretty good shape at this end. I can tell you, I get my body in this side, but then I can't get my arm through this hole. If I was really in a bad mood, worse mood, I would just cut this whole thing off. Hopefully. That's it right there. There it is. Got it. Again, we're gonna tap into the 12 positive and negative here to power the gauge. And I think I'm just gonna put it on the light switch side, so when you turn the lights on in here, the gauge comes on. So I have to drill the 2 1/4 hole for that and wire this into the wiring harness for the gauge. The other end, I still have to get it through the bulkhead, which is up in there. And I don't know if the wire's sticking through there or not yet, so I gotta climb in there next. Alright, so drilled my 2 1/4 inch hole in the top of the tank. You're supposed to drill a 13/64 hole, but I don't have 13/64, so it's actually 14/64, which is 7/32s. So I drilled the mounting holes. So it's kind of interesting how I guess they glued this extra plate on here where it's a little thicker. Good place to put the sender. The inspection hole kind of goes right across here, but I think if I unscrew the sender a little bit, I can turn it and slide it out at an angle without having to take this floor up again. Pay no attention to the cut on the back of my hand. I had to notch. The tank is more than 1/2 inch thick because it has this extra layer. I had a hard time getting the split ring, the C-ring in there. So I finally put it in, not according to the directions. You're supposed to put it in with 1 screw still attached, but I was able to get it in there, hold it from dropping it into the bottom of the tank, get 1 screw started. So now I'll take out this screw because I have a 2nd screw started here. Rotate it around and tighten it all down. It doesn't say to use any gasket goop or anything, so I didn't. It does come with this big, thick, rubbery gasket O-ring, whatever you want to call it, gasket. I guess if I have any issues with it in the future, I can take it apart and seal it up. But I think the rubber will squish around the screws and everything. Alright, that's installed. Permanently installed. So this will be removable so you can clean it. They even give you a roll of Teflon tape to put on it. Let's hope that it screws in. The answer is yes, it does. So I need to put some quick disconnects on these, the sender wire and the ground wire. That'll hook up to the end of this wire here. So installing 2 wires together there. Next project is up there, installing the gauge and just wiring everything together. So, and of course I'll vacuum that all out before I put it back together. Alright, so I'm going to drill a hole, mount the gauge, 2 1/16 hole. I have the drill bit right here. This does come with a resistor. That's if you have 24 volts, but this is 12 volts. It says do not use the resistor for 12 volts. Alright, there it is. Mounted. Now I just have to hook up the wiring, get my 12 volt and ground, which will come in. The ground is the yellow wire again, and the 12 volt I'm going to grab off the light switch, and then this will be the sender wire. Alright, that's showing 1/2 a tank on the gauge, and it looks like it's halfway up. There's the bottom, there's the top. So let's see, right there is 1/4 of a tank. Let's see if I can see that from here. Quarter tank. Half tank. 3/4 of a tank. Right there's 3/4 and full. So I just wanted to test it before I installed it. So this is like the shield that goes over it, and there's a little spring clip in the bottom here, snap ring thing that holds it in. So there's a little spring clip end, the shield on it, and so that's empty, that's full. Alright, so it looks like we're all wired in. Chinese Teflon tape comes with it. And that's the final installation here. It's all done. So when I turn the light switch off, the gauge cuts the power of the gauge. So, and I selected a red light in there. They have a yellow light, but it kind of looks whitish. So I think red looked a little nicer. And then down in here, before I put the hatch down, I did a little painting in there. So figured why not. So it's all done, all cleaned up, ready to go back together.